So I think it's safe to say that most of us have had nightmares in our lifetime. Personally, I haven't had a nightmare in a very, very long time. In fact, the last nightmare I can actually remember was hardly even a nightmare. It was back when I was playing a ton of Left 4 Dead, if you're familiar with that game. It's a zombie game made by Valve. And I remember having a dream where I was just inside the Left 4 Dead universe and I was just gunning down zombies. And it actually wasn't a nightmare at all. It was a really enjoyable dream. I was just fighting zombies and I was just like, ah! It was really fun. The point that it actually turned into a nightmare was when the tank showed up, because those things are scary as hell and really hard to kill. So it was really just like an enjoyable zombie killing dream until the tank showed up, and then it was a straight up nightmare and I woke up real fast. Like right before it was gonna like maul me, I woke up. But other than that, I have not had a nightmare in a really long time. In fact, I don't even usually remember my dreams, but for some reason or another recently I've been remembering my dreams, and that's why I've had these video topics. But anyways, I'm gonna tell you guys about the worst nightmare I've ever had. In fact, it was kind of a reoccurring nightmare. It was one I had quite frequently as a kid, and I don't remember what age I finally stopped having it, but it was not a good time. So maybe it was Toy Story that started this nightmare, but I used to have this nightmare where toys would just come to life and attack me. So I would just be like in my house, and all of a sudden like I'd go into the next room and there would just be evil toys everywhere just looking at me, and then they'd start like walking toward me. And I would remember just be trapped inside my own house, and I would have to like run into this room and then run back out into the next room. And like I don't have like a big house. It has like a narrow hallway. It was just always like so scary, and it was such a hassle to like get around these toys that are trying to attack and kill me. And even one time inside the kitchen, it was just packed full like wall to wall with stuffed animals with just like a little walkway, and occasionally one of those stuffed animals would just like reach out at me and try to attack me. Super scary as a kid when like you are someone who plays with a bunch of toys and has a lot of stuffed animals. Like that was scary stuff. And it would always go the same, you know. I'd wake up from that dream, and then I would climb down the ladder in my bunk bed, and I'd go into my mom's room crying, and she would, you know, comfort me and get me back to sleep. It's one of those things as a kid I still have vivid memories of. I don't have vivid memories of a lot as a kid, but that was one of them because the nightmare was so scary. So one of these nights, I have this nightmare. I wake up, it's super late, I'm breathing heavy, I'm sweating. You know, little Rutabaga just super scared climbing down his ladder. I also don't know about you guys, but my dreams are always in third person. Like I can usually see myself in my dreams, and it's like almost first person. Like I'm usually just like hovering a little bit behind myself and I can see myself. I don't know if that's weird. I don't know what kind of dreams you guys have, but I can usually, for a good portion of the dream, I'm looking at everything. It's more third person than it is first person. So I have this dream. I'm super scared. I'm sweating. I climb down my ladder. I make the walk, you know, out into the hall. I take a left, walk up the hall a little bit, super small narrow hallway, take a right into my parents' room, open the door real quiet, because the worst thing was when you open it fast, and then what would always happen is it would startle my mom, so she'd wake up real fast and like sit up really fast, and that would make me jump and scare me more. So I was trying to be real quiet, you know, wake her up really gently. And so I walk over, I open the door real slow, and I just peek in, and I'm like, Mom, I had a nightmare. And I kid you not, all of a sudden she jolts up out of the bed super fast and looks at me, and her eyes are just glowing in a bright red, like demon glare. It was the scariest thing I've ever experienced in my entire life. And then I actually woke up in my bunk bed and sat up. This was extremely scary for me because, like I said, I have dreams in the third person. I usually have a third person view of what is happening. But this particular nightmare was a dream on top of a dream. I don't know if you've ever had one of those, but it was a dream. It was my toys coming to life nightmare that I woke up from, and the part where I climbed out of my bed, down the ladder, into my mom's room, that was first person. I don't have first person dreams, and that was the most traumatizing thing ever, for me to have a first person dream where it's exactly the same thing I go through when I have that nightmare. As I wake up, I climb down the ladder, I walk into my mom's room, open the door, and instead of her waking up, a freaking demon with glowing red eyes sits up and stares at me, and it just jolted me straight awake for real. Think about that as a kid. I have my reoccurring nightmare I wake up into a first person version of where I walk to my mom's room and wake her up to, you know, get me back to sleep and cry a little bit. And it's another nightmare. So when I woke up for real, I just sat there for a second, sat up in my bed and was like looking at the door, and I didn't know what to do. And so finally I climbed down the ladder, I walk across the hall, open the door, and of course, just like always, she jolts up in the bed and looks at me, you know, looks toward me, and I just lost it, guys. I straight up lost it. I started freaking out. I started jumping. I started crying. I just like started to run back to my room. I was just bawling my eyes out. And my mom, you know, what is going on? What's wrong? What's wrong? And I'm bawling my eyes out because I just re-experienced what I just experienced in my dream. She sat up in her bed. Now her eyes weren't glowing this time. That was the scariest part, you know. It took me a minute to realize, like, okay, this isn't a dream. I'm good now. I'm safe. It was a traumatizing experience. Now, I don't remember exactly because it was a long time ago, but the good news is I think this was the last time I ever had that reoccurring nightmare. And by far to this day, it is the scariest nightmare I've ever had. Waking up into a dream on top of a dream and thinking it's real, that was traumatizing. Now, a little bit of a more lighthearted note before I go. Another version of me waking up to nightmares is I actually woke up, went into my parents' room after a nightmare, went to my dad's side of the bed instead. He was a truck driver, he wasn't home that often. And my mom like woke him up and was like, Rudy's in here, he had a nightmare. And my dad's like, looks over to her side and doesn't see me, and he's like, what are you talking about? He's not in here. And then he rolls over back to his side. They had an alarm clock that with green LED, you know, numbers. And I was, you know, shorter and younger, and it was glowing right on my face. And I scared the crap out of him. To this day, he says you know, he still calls me a little green alien sometimes because that's what I looked like, and it made him jolt out of bed and scared the crap out of him, which in turn made me start crying because it scared me. I didn't know what was going on. But anyways, guys, that's the story of my worst nightmare ever of all time. I hope you guys never have to experience a nightmare like that. I mean, everything about that second part of the nightmare felt like it was real. You know, it made me question reality for a while. But anyways, if you enjoyed this, be sure to give it a big old thumbs up. Be sure to like and subscribe, all that jazz. And we'll see you next time. If you guys are enjoying these dream videos, I'll try to think of more interesting dreams. I don't have that many, especially because I'm not someone who usually remembers them. But, you know, let me know. And, yeah, we'll see you next time, guys. Peace.